Greetings, it's Tato from Financial Insights, and I'm joined with the CEO of REIZ, Mr. Banda. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Tato?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So it's such a lovely pleasure to have you here on day 2 of the API Summit. And of course, I have some questions for you in this regard. Starting off, how do you think the Real Estate Investment Trust in Zambia is performing, particularly after the debut on the Lusaka Security Exchange in June of 2024?
All right, thank you. Thank you for that opportunity, obviously, to have a conversation with you about this. Very interesting question. How are we performing? So, Real Estate Investment Zambia has gone through quite a lot of a journey in terms of just it as a company, starting from where it started from. It's a company that was established a long time ago, in the 1920s basically. Has gone through a lot of transformation. And I'll just jump all the history and go all the way to 2022. So in 2022, Real Estate Investment Zambia had to pay off a bond of about $12 million to its bondholders. And at that point, because of what happened with COVID in 2021, we had our own. So we're very lucky that the strategic direction at that point was to find an underwriter that would assist us to get ourselves out of that particular situation. And luckily, an underwriter was found called L&C, which came in, and when they put the money on the table, they took over controlling rights in this business. And then after that, obviously with the experience in property, the underwriters behind the company, L&C, was SA Corporate, which is a listed entity in South Africa, and the Cassidy family. They've been in business for a long time. They've run properties for a very long time. So they understood exactly how to fix the company that has been in existence as long as REIZ has been. So their first step of action was to see how we can make the best of REIZ. So number one strategy was to try and see how we can get it to become a REIT. Number two was to see how we can get a few acquisitions into the property, into the portfolio, so that we can try and raise the quality and value of the property.
Yeah.
So we did that. We acquired about 3 properties, which came with very significant value in terms of rentals. And then once that transaction was done, the properties numbers basically just doubled. So asking about performance for 2024, I believe we registered the first profit ever since COVID. So which was very, very good. And on top of that, we managed to get ourselves a REIT status. And based on the regulation framework around the REIT status, is that you are supposed to declare a dividend every year. So we did manage to declare a dividend of about $2.1 million, which we paid to our dividend, to our shareholders. Shareholders was paid in more than, call it 5 years before that. So from a performance point of view, we did register a profit, we managed to pay dividends to our shareholders, and now, 2025 going forward, with the assets that we acquired coming in full force, with the rehabilitation of Arcades Shopping Center, we went back to the market and got about $5 million to rehabilitate Arcades Center. And with what we did with Arcades was the most amazing story you can ever tell. Literally, we put in about 3,500 square meters of space into this particular center. We converted it in a way that we opened it up with so many accesses, and we got in quite a lot of small shops to come and rent this particular property. And the result was super amazing. Literally grew the revenues from $80,000 a month to about $280 to close to $300,000 a month. So for us, it's been a very successful story so far. We're looking forward to continue with the same journey, obviously by doing the same strategy that we've implemented on Arcades with the many other assets that we have within our book, and also continue with our acquisition story. Our story for us is scales, economies of scale. So we have to make sure that we buy assets that we can fix and increase the yields on them. So basically our performance has been so good. We're very happy with where we are right now. And I think the impact is being felt because we've seen quite a significant interest from retail investors as well, buying shares. We've got quite a number of shares that are available right now. And we've seen participation in terms of retail shareholders buying those shares on a daily basis. So for us, I think we've hit a positive as that a profit before tax of about $3.3 million. So I think the performance is just going well. We're projecting to basically double that by the end of the year. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And of course, you are on today's panel discussion, specifically speaking on REITs in Africa. I just wanted to ask, what are some of the key insights or themes that emerge from this particular panel discussion when we are looking at the Africa Investment Summit in Africa?
It's a very interesting story because everybody from Kenya, Ghana, Zambia, Zimbabwe is talking about being the first real estate registered entity. Everybody that was on the panel was basically copying each other's story in terms of the fact that we're the first to come onto the market. So, and with that, obviously the first thing that was very common amongst all of us is the regulatory framework, because if you're the first, obviously you have to go through the school fees of paying to make it work, okay? So, because you can't just come in and make it work. So you have to go through the school fees to make it work. So one thing that I saw and learned is that my troubles are not for me alone. It's the same troubles that my friend from Ghana and the same troubles that my friend from Kenya and the same troubles that my friend from Zimbabwe are facing. So literally we have all the same troubles. So number one, I think more than anything, we all want to grow.
Yeah.
And for us to grow, we need obviously funding so that we can buy the assets that we want. And then for us to get the funding, we need to get the funding at the correct price. From my conversation, even before the panel discussion, everybody's almost kind of averaging between 8 to 10% in terms of yields, which is very important because you have to tell your shareholders or your investors what exactly is your yield, what is your return on investment, why should I invest into this REIT? And from everybody from across Africa is that we're all operating between, call it 7 to about 10%. So meaning we're not bad. Others obviously within their local currency. For us, a unique case is that obviously it's a dollar REIT. So when we say 8% performance, it's actually a dollar performance, which is obviously much more better than the currency performance. So it's a common ground around trying to get funding so that we can grow. And then obviously to also fine-tune the regulatory framework around us. So REIT Zambia was based on the Kenya framework in terms of how the rules were put together. But what we've seen is that we've picked quite a lot of other frameworks from a South Africa point of view that we feel are much more disadvantageous for us. So one of them, for example, is what we're calling the REIT controlled company. With the REIT controlled company, what it means that if I buy 51% shareholding in another company, that company takes up a REIT status.
Okay.
For us, it's very good because it means I don't have to have the strategy of acquiring full access to companies. I can just literally buy up to 51% shareholding and that company becomes gets a REIT status. Why is that so important? It's because a REIT comes with a very good advantage when it comes to from a tax structure point of view. And because of that, it means we're able to give our shareholders a lot more return on investment in terms of whatever that we've made at the end of the day. So there are the learnings from Africa is that we're all in the same boat. We're all going through the school fees. We're all trying to get the regulation that really makes sense for everybody to operate. And we're all trying to raise funds so that we can grow our portfolios. And I think the common ground that has come from there is that there might be a need for us to consolidate, to come together, put our heads together and see how we can create a united front so that we can go out there to institutional investors that are willing to invest into Africa at a much bigger global view. So if we sell the Africa story of what a REIT is doing in Africa, we feel like there's a big more opportunity for us to be heard from bigger funders than singular banks in Africa for them to find the growth that we're looking for. So I think more than anything, for me, it was a very good advantage to have everybody tell their story and understand what the story is and see how from there now we can take it forward to see how we can create a united front and put a consolidated picture in terms of how we want to grow these REITs in Africa.
With just that same line of thinking, what would you say are the opportunities that you see within REITs in Zambia, but also in Africa in terms of attracting investments, promoting sustainable development, and ultimately creating wealth?
Yeah, look, one story that I've always tried to tell Zambians, if I bring it local, is that a REIT gives you an opportunity for you to own real estate that you have never dreamt of owning. Like a shopping center, for example. Right now, our shares are selling at a share price of 0.09 cents. So meaning, with $1, I'm able to buy 11 shares. So what that means then means that everybody that has the ability to invest into any counter on the Lusaka Stock Exchange has got the ability to buy shares in a real estate investment company and have ownership to these prime assets in the country. So for me, that's the story that I've been trying to tell people, that you have an opportunity now to put your money into this REIT and be able to have ownership into the most prime properties in the country. So that's an opportunity that is presenting before the people. From an Africa point of view, like I said, I think once we consolidate, it means we have ability now to be head at the highest level, because at that point, we'll be able now to attract the right type of investor that will understand our growth story, that will give us the level of financing that we need to acquire and consolidate most of the assets that we've seen within our various countries from an opportunity point of view. Because for a REIT to grow, you need to acquire. And for a REIT to operate and give you the sustained return on investment, you need to get rid of all the assets that are within your portfolio that are not making you the yields that you want. So it's a buying and selling type of activity that you run when you're running a REIT. So with that, I feel like the opportunity is, number one, we're giving a local investor an opportunity to own prime assets. Number two, we are creating an opportunity for us to consolidate ourselves and attract our offering to investors at a much, much higher level, where we can go out there and look for $1 billion so that we can try and buy the assets that we want to buy. So I think more than anything, the opportunity there for wealth creation is more around the fact that as a REIT, we are very highly regulated. So there's very good corporate governance, where we are listed on the stock market. So meaning all our shareholders have got a voice in terms of how the business is run. And because of that, it means now the investors' money is protected, because there's no way we're going to make decisions that do not benefit the shareholder. And because of that, that is the opportunity that we see that we're offering to the market.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Banda. It was such a pleasure to interview you and engage more with REIZ. And this is Tato from Financial Insight, and as we always say, get to know.
Thank you.